going on, guys? I'm Tyler Santiago, owner of Santiago sports card and memorabilia store. You can find us on Instagram, anywhere, sports cards, influencing, whatever it may be. And we're here on the Scoop B radio show.
Scoop B radio in your area code, on the plane, on the train, in your home, everywhere you need to be. Make sure you subscribe to Scoop B Radio Podcast on all streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere where you get your Scoop B Radio. We are in there like swimwear. Listen, I like sports collectibles. I've been collecting for a long time, so it is my distinct honor and privilege to talk to a new friend in the business, Tyler Santiago of Santiago Sports in Matawan, New Jersey. Mr. Santiago, what's going on, sir?
Good. How are you? What's going on?
Man, I am working my tail off, and I'm glad that I'm talking to you.
Yeah, nothing like a nice little break, catching up, talking sports, whatever it may be. I'm with it.
I'm with it. Listen, man, I have just watched the sports memorabilia industry explode, particularly over the last couple of years. I, like yourself, have been a collector for a long time. What was your point of entry into that space?
So point of entry was my dad. I have a twin brother, and from a young age, he was bringing us to card shows because he was always into sports cards, and push us around in the stroller, give us a couple bucks to go buy some cards and everything. So as I got older, I loved it. Was making my own money, hustling at the shows, turning 10-cent cards into dollar cards, and then eventually, when you go to like elementary school or whatever, they give you those papers like, what do you want to do when you get older? And I would always write, I want to own a card shop. I want to be in a card shop. And that's what I did. My dreams came true. I get to live my dream every day, and I love it.
I like it. I like that for you. I remember when I was young, they would post this, or I would see in magazines, pictures of Honus Wagner's baseball card. And they said that was like the most valuable card on the market. Two-part question. Is that still the case? And why specifically was it Honus Wagner? So
it's pretty much still the case. The only card that really competes with it is the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle, which is another iconic card. Like everybody, if you're in sports or whatever, you don't really have to know baseball to know Mickey Mantle. It's just like a legendary name. But the Honus Wagner is rare because the story behind that card, Honus Wagner was a great player, Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits, all that, before like baseball became super popular in America. That's why it's America's pastime. But other than that, it was super. There's just a story behind it where they were put into tobacco packages, and only I think it was 22 actually got out there to the public because he didn't like the cards. So the ones that did get out there ended up being worth a ton of money. And it's kind of like the lore that came with it over the years that made it so expensive. And again, they came in tobacco packs. So, I mean, there was tobacco and everything. So the condition on them wasn't that great. Back then, nobody valued that stuff really. So the ones that made it through the cracks over the years have become super rare and collectible to, I can't afford it, but billionaires and people like that.
That gave some perspective, because Honus Wagner, like, you think Barry Sanders, you think Michael Jordan, that's more our era of sports. But I didn't know who Honus Wagner was outside of that card.
Yeah, no, he was a great player. He also managed after he stopped playing. He was one of the best all time. Shortstop.
For sure. Tell me something. What in basketball or football holds value like that, or something similar?
Football and basketball is a little tougher. Jordan, obviously. Jordan, everything. The 86 Jordan, 86 Fleer Michael Jordan is like the most iconic card. The PSA 10 of that during the huge boom for sports cards was selling upwards of, I think, 750 to 800,000. Now they're back down to 200 to 225,000. But that's up there for him. And then there's a card that came out a couple of years ago, a set called Flawless Basketball. Drake actually went live with Ken Golden, who's big in the auction collectibles high-end space, and he went live opening 30 cases of Flawless Basketball that are $30,000 a piece. So Drake's dropping close to $1 million, which is nothing to him. But he's opening these cases trying to look for a LeBron James triple logo man. So you know what the logo man is. They have it on all the jerseys and everything. This one was special because it had the Heat logo man, Lakers, and Cavaliers all on one card. So people were looking for that, and it was just the biggest chase of the last, I mean, I don't even know how long, but that card was just crazy. And there was like a bounty on it for like $1 million. So he was going crazy trying to look for it. So that's like another comparable thing. Football, kind of tough. There's not any, like, there's crazy football things, but like Tom Brady would be up there. Some of his rookie stuff used to be worth a ton, but as the market's corrected, it's kind of come back down to earth. But Brady would be that guy, and then Mahomes is right behind him coming up.
Do you feel like with all of the memorabilia and things that people are valuing, does it get harder to kind of distinguish, without naming brands, like more established, like the Tops, the Don Russes, the Skyboxes, versus the newer brands and what they're doing? Because I feel like collecting is such a nostalgic feel, but it's about the value. It's kind of like wine. The older it gets, the more it's worth. But because of so much that is going on between NFTs and social media, does that bring the value down or actually raise it?
So it's today it's a lot more performance based. Like back then when Jordan was playing, even in like the early days of Kobe, there was no social media and everything. There was no like really hyping it up other than like what you saw on TV. So today it's a little more prodded on, like, you know, it's illegal and like stocks pumping and dumping, but people do unfortunately try and do that with sports cards. So it's propped up on a bunch of things. There's like a ring of people in China, like Trae Young, for example, great player. You know, I don't necessarily think he's ever going to become a champion or anything like that with his play style, but there's a group of people in China that are heavily invested in his cards, and then on eBay auctions they'll go and shill. They call it shilling. They'll go run up the auctions. They won't get paid, and the cards will just keep getting relisted, creating like fake comps on the card and the value. So like it's theoretical value more so, but it's giving off the illusion that these cards are actually selling for that. So it kind of really depends on like the player, the card, and the more that comes out, it's like a blessing and a curse, because it does hurt. You know, for example, I'll use this, like Derek Jeter and Albert Pujols, two great players who retired over the last 10 years or so, who when they were playing weren't signing as much, and there wasn't as much memorabilia as them. But as they since retired, they're doing more TV things. Not that they don't have enough money, but they're making extra money signing these cards. And when products keep coming out and they're putting these same Hall of Famers in there, eventually that supply over exceeds demand and it brings the price down overall. So that's how I look at it.
Tell me, what does the Kobe Bryant and LeBron James memorabilia market look like for someone like you and just globally?
So obviously Kobe passed away, but before he did pass, he signed a lot. Like there's not like really a shortage of Kobe autographs out there. So you could find Kobe just about anything. Of course, over time it'll get tougher because he stopped signing and whatnot, and passed at a young age. But you could find Kobe stuff pretty readily available. LeBron is a little different because he was exclusive with Upper Deck and is now with Fanatics. He's like taken over big time. But LeBron was with Upper Deck, who then lost the license, and they stopped making basketball cards in 09, 010. So he didn't really have licensed NBA uniform autographs since then. The only LeBron stuff you could really get was like Upper Deck was still making them, but they would insert him into products that like weren't basketball based. Be like Goodwin Champions. They have patches of like butterfly, like weird stuff in there, and all different mixed sports. Kind of pays homage to like the old product back in the day, but LeBron was like smart about it. He understood his value and his market and was like, I shouldn't like just be mass producing or like signing anything that I can. I got to keep some rarity to what I'm doing. So he took full advantage of that. And apparently he has a bunch of his own cards in his collection that could be worth millions.
How is what LeBron did in that instance similar to what Michael Jordan was doing when you didn't see him like on the EA Sports games, or when you didn't see, like, do you see any similarities in how LeBron has marketed himself in the memorabilia and how Michael kept himself exclusive while he was in the league with his likeness, as well as even with deals like Mitchell and Ness?
I think it's a little similar. I think I don't know, it's an interesting comparison. Yeah, he didn't want, like, he had his own Jordan, eventually became the Jordan brand and the Nike and all that. So I don't, he had like leverage that nobody else had. I mean, there's like Shaq and other guys were doing that, Larry Johnson, Grant Hill, all that, like had their brands and were working with other brands and stuff. But I don't know, he became smart and just had a power and leverage that nobody else could really touch. So it's different. Like you look at like Marvin Harrison Jr., like if you heard about that, like his whole
Yes.
fiasco. So he's that along the lines of that is what's happening with him. He thinks by not signing his NFLPA contract that he can get, he's going to screw everyone because he's not getting paid what he wants and he should be able to negotiate. He didn't want to get, screwed by Fanatics or whatever. That's the sheet that he signed years ago because it's a 4-year contract. You sign it 2 years in, you turn pro. You're in the pro for 2 years making pennies when you should be capitalizing on your name, which I totally get, the NIL deals and all that. But I don't know. It's really interesting to like look at it. And these guys should be doing what they can. But some of them, I mean, they just want to take the money and they've never had that before. It's life-changing money for a lot of these kids, even though when they first sign it, it's life-changing money. But as they get older and grow their brand and their selves and become valuable to a sports team, they exceed that. And that's where some of them get taken advantage of, not in a bad way, but it's just the game. Like you decided to do that. You got to, no, I wouldn't say reap the consequences, but you did it. You'll get it back someday. It's interesting to look at all that.
I like it. Outside of what you do in the store in your influencer role, what are the things that keep you busy?
So, like this past weekend, for example, we traveled to Boston for a card show. So like we'll produce content, make content there, vlog it. I don't really like nothing's really ever forced. It's more so just going there, being myself, making deals, uncut, interacting with people and whatever it may be. I went to school for communication. So my whole thing was I always want to just be like, just off the dome, just go for it. Whatever happens, happens. Like, I think that's how you get the most raw, authentic, like content. Like we just today, I had no idea what you were going to ask me. I was ready for it. We're going to bullshit. Like, I like it. It's fun.
Right.
So I don't know. In terms of like what I do, just, I get some good access to athletes sometimes at these events and whatnot. And I've gained a trust and respect from people who run some of the biggest shows and handle some of the biggest athletes. And if they're able to let me talk to them for a few minutes, grab a picture, grab content, whatever, it always helps. But there's always a mutual benefit to everyone. Like when I do something like that, I'm making a video at your show with an athlete and they see that in the next show that comes around, like, man, like I wonder who's going to be there next time. I want to come. Maybe I want to meet Tyler. I want to meet the athletes that are there, or I want to just come shop at the card show. Like there's so many residuals that come from like what I do in terms of like, not even like, money, just in terms of promotion and experience and putting, I don't know, whatever event they have out there. The promotion just goes hand in hand, and you can't really put a finger on it and exactly what your value is, but as long as people see it, you have something to offer the world.
I like it, brother. You have been a wealth of knowledge, and as a breath of fresh air to find a collectible nerd, a fellow collectible nerd, and
of course.
And I'm glad to see you be successful and all that you
Thank
do.
you.
And I like that setup in the back. It's clean.
Yeah, it's my MJ jersey. Corey Schlesinger, who most people have never heard of, Lions legend. Barry Sanders fullback for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like it, brother. You're off the hot seat. Thank you for your time.
Of course, no, I appreciate it. It was just fun.
My man.